Everybody, I'm here with Mr. Alan Lawson, chairman of the Florida Youth Rugby Union. Alan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm also the president of the Wizards.
You are? You are a man of a lot of, what do you call it?
Yes.
Busy man. I want to,
pretty busy.
First of all, congratulate you and commend you for what you're doing because, you know, I also do a lot of for Florida Rugby, but I also make some money off of it, and
Yes.
you don't. So, you know, and I have sort of being close to you guys, and I see, wow, there's so much that goes on for the kids to be able to play on any
Yes.
given Saturday.
No, you're right. You're right.
So that is, and I think you guys have done, you know, a good job over the season, sort of setting things up. What is the season looking? Well, first of all, how did this AGM go?
I thought the AGM went really, really well. I thought there were a lot of good ideas. I think we still need to settle out the U12 situation, which we will. And really, it comes down to the kind of the four, right, between the Wizards, the Bucks.
You really like
the
that
Rats,
division, man.
and the-
You
and
really like
I
that
think it's
division,
my-
huh?
Listen, I think that's the division that you capture these young players that will, you know, create the longevity within
maybe you're right,
within
yeah.
the union and really expand. I think if you can capture that U12, that U10, they're ruggers for life, and that's really kind of what we have to go through is look at how we capture ruggers for life.
Well, you guys went through a lot of topics.
Yes.
How is the season looking?
So, well, we don't know yet because we haven't figured out the whole schedule, but we're expecting, you know, mid-January, late January start for high school, and then probably a festival or two in early January, maybe at Treasure Coast, to bring the whole union together to start to kind of kick off the season, since we don't have Ruggerfest and those type of events anymore. But we just have to figure those type of things out, and over the next month or so, the club presidents and that will figure that stuff out.
Probably one of the sort of critical things is getting new teams in, right? Because
Yes.
we did lose 2 teams last year. We don't know about Naples this year. They're trying.
Yep.
I'm not sure Cape situation is there.
Cape is no longer part of the union.
Okay, well,
Yep.
because I think we need some growth in that area, right?
We do. I think if you saw the map that we presented, I don't know if you presented the screen, but
Well, I kind of-
we've got this whole southeast thing in Florida, and you know when you're looking at the middle of the state,
You can do like the
really-
weathermans. You can
You guys just
point
show
here
right
and
here.
I'll put them up.
So it's right here. So then you have, you know, when you're talking about Orlando, that's got what 3 to 4 million people, and we have no clubs in that area. That's just crazy. You can't tell me you can't find 25 kids, somebody to run a club in Orlando. It's unbelievable. So we have to find some sort of solution to get some clubs in Orlando, and ultimately the 5-year goal for Florida Rugby. We have 25 million people, and it's growing constantly, right? California has 40, Texas has 30 million.
But it's mostly old people coming from that.
But still, yeah, I get it. But we really should have a North Division and a South Division. We need to do something for Jacksonville, as you know, our church is here, and as well as Tampa with Joe Hillbush. But we've got to find that common ground there and develop this North and South to create. And I think if we're able to capture that, I think rugby will here for flourish forever.
Yeah, this gentleman from Orlando that came today to make a representation,
Yes,
I forgot his
Bob
name.
Goodhart.
So I think one very interesting thing, he said that he thought that the private school is like where to go to get teams started because they have a lot of advantages in, for example, having all the infrastructure already there.
So the Florida High School
'Cause we have to say
Association, we have struggled to try to get teams within the high school. Ultimately, you want it within the high school because within that format. But you know, I think, you know, the other thing too is that we need to focus on how the girls grow the girls side a lot of times, which really is how the Wizards grow. We really focus on the girls and the boys follow. And I really believe that that's the format, the formula that develops success. Get the girls in. They've got a brother, a sister, a cousin, all of a sudden below, you know, you got a whole boys side, and it just kind of cycles through. But with the format in Orlando, you know, you're looking at, you know, a kind of a captured audience, and they need programs for activities for these young athletes. And rugby's a perfect. And you go in there with both the girls' side and the boys' side, and you'll be very surprised at how rapidly that should grow and expand and ultimately grow that sport in the Orlando area.
You know, sometimes I think that we are not selling rugby properly because we agree that it's, even as parents, this is the best sport in the world for your kids, right?
Yes.
So I think somehow we're not selling this correctly, because it just seems that if you talk to a parent and you explain what rugby is about, they have to love it.
So
then you have to have the kids love it, of course.
But so I started coaching football. I've coached football for over 25 years, and I'm coaching currently at Wellington High School, the O-line. And a lot of those players, I'm hoping they'll come over and play rugby, because it's just going to make them, listen, any athlete should be playing two sports. And between football and rugby, it has an excellent complement, both from a skill set and from a game situation. But with that being said, it's just the whole dynamics of, so when I first started, there was Western Community Football League, which I was one of the top folks in there. When I started there, we had over 1,100 kids playing football, 1,100 just within Wellington. COVID hit, it got down to 250. It's only back up to 450. Now the decline started with the whole CTE scare. Some parents are just not willing to develop their kids in contact sport. Mind you, soccer, basketball, and flag football have more combined injuries than football. And because you have kids playing flag, they're running around unprotected between the knees, the dislocated shoulders, and the concussions. Soccer, believe it or not, has as many concussions as football. And people just don't have the proper context or information to fully understand. The thing with rugby, which finds me so fascinating, a lot of the play is this distance. You don't get the physics that's required to really injure one another. And without having pads on, people don't realize your mind automatically sets you up to protect yourself. You're not going to come in head first to take you out, right? But in football, when you have the full gear, you're almost weaponized, right? And that's a different mindset. No, I mean, you are weaponized, and it's a different mindset. But that's why ruggers are the best. I'm telling you right now, the last 3-4 years at Wellington High School, the top tacklers in that program, the top 3 for the last 4 or 5 years, are all Wizard rugby players. And at Palm Beach Central, it's the same thing. So those type of things, and these coaches understand that, because that rugby style attack and that rugby style getting after that player really kind of manufactures how to be successful defensively in football.
Tell me a little bit about your club.
So we are still at around 100 kids. Our U12, we have a U12 with just one state. They're coming up. I'm really excited. It reminds me of when my son started with the Wizards, where we were very successful for about 4, 5, 6 years. And I'm expecting this group to do the same thing as they're starting to mature through the divisions. And then we're just looking at trying to build up that U12 situation. Sorry, am I out of the picture? Almost.
And what about U16s, 19s? How's that looking?
We have a lot of our U14s are graduating U16s. We have a solid U16 side. Now, one of the reasons why I'm coaching football again is we need to build that. I need to pull some of those boys out.
You have some extra time on your hands?
I do. I have all this extra time. So, no, Wellington football has really allowed me to kind of segregate my time, and there's a window that I come in and work with the O-line and then go back to work. So it's just one of those things that my job and how my lifestyle is right now allows me to do that.
One big new thing we're going to have this season is the Miami Sharks. How's the relationship between the Sharks?
We are building that.
And the union?
Listen, I really lean on Chris Vassell, who has been instrumental in both, and Helen Archer, in growing that culture, that environment, both for girls and for boys. But Chris is really leading the charge, and then we got Mariano with Okapi. He's helping that to kind of maturate that relationship to make sure that it's done the right way and that we're both successful at the same time.
Of course, we have these camps now in September. That is the first.
Yes, and I have to do a better job to make sure I'm gonna have my camp tomorrow, my free clinic for all my kids. We're gonna make sure that they go to that as well. And I know that Okapi's going to bring like 95 kids, which is ridiculous. But I mean, it's crazy. But we're gonna try to do the same thing. We don't have 95. I may bring 30, but that's about it.
Always bragging, those guys, huh?
He's always bragging.
Hey, and who's going to win the World Cup?
Who's left? Because I know South Africa got knocked out yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So who's left?
I don't know, maybe France, Ireland?
No way. Ireland. I'll say Ireland.
It would be nice for a change,
No, I think Ireland. Well, listen, didn't they just win the Six Nations?
Yeah.
So I think it's Ireland. Why wouldn't Ireland be favored?
Okay.
All right. Ireland it is.
And I of course, was present at the AGM. I think it went very well.
Thank you.
Very nicely organized. This little social we have afterwards, I think it helps a lot. Because, personal contact is something very important. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Instead of all those emails and you know.
Well, listen, it's
Zoom
funny,
calls.
you didn't really know me until we started this whole thing, and
Exactly.
you probably thought I was a total knucklehead. But
Exactly.
Yes, you did. So, but now you know who I am, right? And I think that's why you see these things. You have happy hours, so we get to know people at a general level.
It's very important.
And to know, hey, you know what? That guy maybe not such a jerk after all, even though he's across the field. It's important to develop those relationships because these relationships is what matters as far as growing the sport of rugby. If we don't continue to grow that, it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
And you know I love you too, right?
Hey man, thank you.
You bet, sir.
Nice seeing you.